All right. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Good evening, everybody. Paul and the man with the beard and Luke and Danny. And let's see. George is here. And looks like chat has gotten ahead of me already. Let's see. I saw there was someone else there. Nope, I guess that's it. All right, cool. Well. Let's see. What's up, synthesizer Danny, man with the beard? Yep. What's up, everybody? Your shower hour. Oh, my gosh. Well, you know, sorry, Luke. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and jump right in. There's stuff. So, we'll start out with the usual, what was in the jam. And a little different in the jam tonight. Let me move some things around here and do this and do that. Yeah, okay, don't want to know. So let's see. First up in the jam, and you're hearing it now. I haven't done this in a while, so what I'm going to show you, I haven't done it in a while. So up in the jam tonight, let's see, I want that shot. So the drone and one of the leads is coming off the modular. It is wonderfully, slightly unpredictable. So there's an LFO that is doing weird things with the lead voice. And so it comes and goes on me while it's at the same time modulating the drone voices. Some of the fun thing is in modular that it's hard to do elsewhere. So anyway, that was that. So that's the drone going, and let's see. Then we have. Thanks, Luke. Yeah, I'm having fun with the modular. I'm not using it on the show a whole lot yet, but I am having a good time with it. And this has been a crazy week, which we'll get into. So I didn't have a huge amount of time to prep for the show. So we're getting a lot of the same synthesizer as last show, just with some different patches. Let's see. So I used the ultra synth a lot again this week. So we got this bass thing going, except that's not the bass part there. Here we go, down here. I'll just play the loop. So it's not doing a lot. This bass part's pretty simple. It basically mimics the kick drum, sort of, that's going on in the drum track, just like it did last week. So that's the bass part, again done in Ultra, and all the Ultra patches are ones that I've done myself. I'm not using any presets. We've also had this pad in Ultra. It's very subtle. And tell you what, we'll drop the modular out while we're listening to some of these. So this one mixes really well with the drone from the modular. Whoops. Come back here. Come on, there we go. So this one takes some odd trips every once in a while. It'll kind of every once in a while a random LFO will kick in and move stuff in places. And I'm actually running 3 filters on this. Two are within the synth engine and one in one of the effects chains. So let's see, we've also got this pad. Also my little pluck from last week, but slightly modified. It'll start in a moment. So I modified this one from last week. There was something I missed to do with it last week that I wanted it to do. So the piece is allegedly in 4s, but this little arpeggiation runs in 3s. And when that times in with the sequence that I was running with the modular, which is completely non-timed, it gets some really interesting polyrhythmic sort of changes. So that pluck, like I said, slightly modified from last week, both in the sequence, and I modified the sound itself a little bit. Also have this one. This one's new. And this one, I didn't use it in the jam, but I've got, hey Sean. This one I've also got a bunch of macros tied in to do some weird shifts on things. Let's see, if I jump into this tab, I think it's in this tab. I'm doing warps. Okay, let's get the modular back out again. So you can see I'm heavily warping the wavetable. And got another warp for it as well. And I can combine the two. And this third macro just does weird things. It's messing around with the resonator and the effects chain, the flanger. I think it's also messing with the super wave. Some maybe. Nope, just the effects stuff. And then macro 4, which I call knife. This kind of makes it cut through a little more. And all it's doing is opening up the, again, I'm using 3 filters in this patch, and it opens up the, just opens up the filters, notches up the resonance on the final filter. And let's see, I did this kind of proggy rocky lead thing. And percussion, drums and percussion tonight were just, the drum rack from last week, I guess it was. Let's see. Yeah, the drum rack from last week, easy for me to say. And I didn't actually roll it, but I've got the percussion in from Session Percussionist too. I'll probably use that in the closing jam. So anyway, that was what was in the jam tonight. So let's see, catch up with chat. Thank you, Paul, appreciate that. You heard some of these sounds yesterday in our live jam. Let me get this back where I want it. And doopy-doo. Oops, yeah, there we go. Make sure that's doing what I want. Turn it down a little bit. Okay, cool. So let's get into it. I got a little distracted by a lot of things this past week. As you know, after I had to jump out as right at the end of time last week because last Tuesday morning I had to run down to my mother's to help her with a cell phone thing. What a fiasco that was. So basically, a whole day wasted messing around with cell phones. Yeah, George, this growl's coming off that off the modular, and if I dump it down, bird's unhappy. If I hit it down in low octaves, it just, well, here we can go another octave down, I think. Of course, when it gets down that low, tuning seems to start to wander a little bit, but. So anyway, fun stuff there. So let's see. So I got that wasted a day, and then I had a couple of days of consulting work to do, so that lost a couple of days. And then I got into the. I rewatched the guy's photo thing, and when I was down, we back up to Tuesday. When I was down with my mother, she asked me if I'd been doing any photography lately, and the answer is no. I really haven't done anything except snapshots here and there with my phone, and that makes her sad because she really liked when both myself and my dad did a lot of photography, so she was kind of sad that I'm not shooting as much. So that kind of put me into a mood and a mode, and between that and the video from the photographers that we looked at last week, oh, cool. And so, excuse me, that snuck up, honey. So. Let's go ahead and finish up the discussion quickly about about, what did I do? Oh, about this. My mother, Paul, my mother doesn't understand any of this music stuff that I'm doing. So she wouldn't grasp what the Entropy and Sons Recursion Studio was all about at all. She doesn't even know how to watch this. I mean, she is so, well, she has no tech savvy at all and never has. And, so she can't really use a computer. She can barely use her phone. And, one of the things that made getting her a phone difficult is that she's not really good with the swiping things around. So we had to find her an iPhone that still has a button, at the bottom, so she could tap into things instead of swiping. She can't do the swipe motion to open up and switch apps and whatnot. So I had to find her an iPhone SE, and I got her an SE2 because it was local and it was the only one around. And it turned out it wasn't it was still carrier locked. It was not a carrier unlocked phone. And of course it was locked for AT&T, and she's on Verizon. So I got her an SE3 now. It is supposedly carrier unlocked. And so on Wednesday, I'm going to go down and try again. And we'll see what happens. Her old phone, and the reason we actually have to replace it, it's a 7 that she dropped. And so now the screen doesn't work correctly, and it doesn't take a charge well anymore. Like, it only lasts about, well, it's not taking a charge. So got to get her a new phone. So anyway, so at least get the SE3, Paul. Otherworld Computing has a few of those left. It's about the only place I could find them. So anyway, so that was that. So I started thinking about this some more, and it's like, what have we? The whole thing is what we lost when the cameras got better. I think it applies to really any art form or creative form that is being enhanced or bettered or whatever by technology. And so so I think it applies to music as well as it does photography. And so there was some discussion offline about it, but the deal is I don't think that we've lost anything as our cameras got better or as our synthesizers got better. What has been lost, in my opinion, is, and I'll tread lightly here, I guess, but we or many creatives have become more and more reliant, I think, on the tech to do things for us that we previously had to do ourselves. And a lot of creatives, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. It's just a lot of creatives rely very heavily on presets, and so they're always rushing to find or buy the newest presets. And so they lean on those as their crutch. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's some folks out there making and selling some tremendous presets, but what happens in my mind when you start to rely very heavily on that, you kind of lose touch with the deep creative side of music, photography, sculpture, painting, whatever the art form is. You start to lose touch with the basics, I think. And so that's why, I mean, I've bought presets, and I do buy presets. There's some that I really like. And, you know, one of the reasons that I bought Omnisphere was because the presets were incredibly good. And they've spent years and years making incredibly good presets. And to me, those awesome presets are usable as, you know, the bass. And I'll use some as leads and featured instruments as well, but I will tweak them. You know, I'm not necessarily going to use them exactly as they come out of the box. And I think, you know, a lot of people will look at, you know, they look at, I'm not sure what's going to be up on it. Actually, I am. They look at something like this, and their heads explode. You know, yeah, hit the mutate, and you know, when you get into the mutate in Omnisphere or in the new version of Absinthe, those mutates are really good. Because you can kind of control the mutate to some extent, and they're not just random. You know, it's not like hit the patch randomizer. You know, that mutate control both in Omnisphere and in the new version of Absinthe. You know, you can tell that how far to deviate initially. And at least in Absinthe, you can, if you hone down that search as to what, you know, around the preset that you're trying to mutate, it'll kind of keep it in that feel. I showed this a couple of weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. In Absinthe, some of the patches were designed by Brian Eno. And if you hone it down so all you're seeing is Brian Eno's patches, and you find one that's close to what you want, you can tweak the mutate control a little bit and say, build me a Brian Eno patch based on this one. And that's what you get. So it's a new patch in Brian Eno's style based on the collection of patches that they have provided from Brian Eno. And you can do that with any other of the patch designers that have provided patches for the program. The one in Omnisphere 3 works similarly. I think it keeps you still in the neighborhood of the patch that you're starting from. And the more times you hit the mutate button, the further it goes away. And then you can revert back to the beginning or revert back to anywhere in the history of the mutates, you know, so, and get your own unique patches that, you know, without having to learn the synth. I think it's better to learn the synth. But, you know, so anyway, that's my take on it. And, you know, interested to hear yours or see yours or whatever, either, you know, talk about it on your streams or talk about it in chat somewhere, but I'm sure interested to know what you feel about this stuff. So yeah, Edison did similar. There's others that have done this. This is not a new thing. But, you know, it's still, though, the mutates are great. You know, the mutates are great. But I still don't think that, you know, it doesn't get you here. And reaching around in here, you know, and starting with this patch that I've got, or starting from scratch. You don't even have to start from scratch. But, you know, it doesn't get you into saying, well, what happens if I change this oscillator to this other type? And, you know, maybe we turn the ultra wave off and change both of these. I've got so much filtering and effects on it, it doesn't make a lot of difference. We turn the cross mod off. You know, and start learning what these people start learning what these controls do, you know? And what happens when you take the mod wheel? Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Take the mod wheel and, you know, drag it over to the filter offset, you know, and people aren't learning these things. And I'm just breaking one of my own patches here. I have no idea what you know, we're going to break something at some point if I do that. Keep doing this. I love patches that change over time. Now this cries for a this now cries for a delay. So we'll grab and put a tape echo on it, and we'll stick that ahead of the reverb. And of course it has to be dotted eighths. Turn up some saturation on that delay. Go back to the wide, I like that better. So anyway, you know, that's the, you know, that is I'm going to save this. It's like, I love making patches, for those who don't know. We're just going to call this Ultra Analoger 2. We'll save that puppy out there. You know, so thanks, guys. You know, I guess it gets down to, and what the fella in the video was kind of sort of alluding to, although I don't know that he necessarily said it well, is, you know, I think people are getting away from learning how the tools work and expecting the tools to do all the work. And you end up with a lot of sameness in some ways, you know. And I guess, you know, in some instances, someone was talking about, a guy who's got a small label was talking about what he and his partner listen for when they want to sign somebody, or when somebody comes to them to say they want to sign on to the label. And the advice he gives is, listen to everything else that's on the label. That's what we're looking for. No, nothing wrong with using presets. But like you say, Danny, make it your own. Take it and push it some. And yeah, Paul, I'm not saying everybody, and I don't think the fella in the video that I referenced is saying everybody. There are people that do want to dig into the new tech and learn. And, you know, I'm one of those. You know, I love to dig into a new synth, be it a VST or hardware. You know, I love to dig into a new camera. which we'll get to, I got a new camera. You know, golly, I haven't done that in an age, you know. So, you know, it's anyway, I think we're on the same page mostly. Yeah, Paul, I like I said, yeah, some people are indeed anxious to learn and master new technology, and thank goodness for those people. It's an interesting little camera, George, and we're going to talk about it briefly, very briefly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the camera stuff during this show, and we're going to talk about that, I think, in the next segment, actually. Which actually, you know, we can go ahead and transition to it. Oh, is that a Soviet spy camera? Spy cameras are cool. If you've ever gotten to look at any of them, they're pretty neat. Excuse me. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to cameras, you know, and move on to the... there's a digital replacement for 35 millimeter film. That makes, yeah, that's a thing. Let's see. So we're going to move on to graphic number 8. That's not a synth, is it? So, yeah, it's George. Yeah, it's the digital film canister thing. It's in its infancy, and it's not working very well. I've been following that. I've been following that for a reason. When Canon first came out with their first digital, their first DSLR, the D30, they called it. And I thought, well, gee, you know, so I thought, gee, there should be a way to make the electronics small enough to fit somehow, or at least some of it, into a 35 millimeter film cartridge, and you have this thing that lays out across the shutter. And damn, I didn't patent that. That's kind of the story of my life, and you know, or my family's life. We come up with these great ideas, or ideas, and we don't patent them. So yeah, I had that thought about what they're doing with that 35 millimeter digital cartridge. However many years ago, I can't even remember when Canon launched that first thing. And Kodak actually sort of did it. They had a thing that attached to the back of a Nikon F2, I think it was, or maybe a Nikon F3 or F4, any Nikon F something or another. And camera 35 millimeter cameras used to be able to get these motor drives for you. You'd take the back off and you'd put this thing on there and it would spin the film for you. So they made a thing that fit into a Nikon in the same way, except it was this tall and had all the electronics and the sensor that laid over the shutter and all that. Asaph, good to see you. So, you know, but the thing was bulky and you couldn't carry it around because it was tethered to stuff, and it was, you know, place I used to work had one, and you could make beautiful images with it. But you kind of sort of needed a class in digital electronics to actually make the thing work. But it was you know, kind of neat. We used it for catalog stuff where I worked, and so anyway, you know, I'm not sure where we were going before that. So one of the things that I kind of got interested in recently is, well, I wanted to go back and kind of sort of like, you know, simplify the photography thing. And of course, you know, we all carry our phones, and our phones all have excellent cameras in them now. But that, I wanted to go a little further than that. And I've also, since a fellow that I've known online and met out at KnobCon a few years ago, Alex RT, showed me the, actually showed me what the output from the little Instax instant cameras from Fujifilm looked like, and I thought, well, that's pretty neat. And I remember seeing them at a photo show several years ago when they were first coming out. I thought, well, that's kind of neat stuff, but I never really got onto it, and I decided last week, that I was going to go ahead and jump in. So Fujifilm have come out, and this is actually, you know, they came out with this a few years ago. This is a hybrid. So it's a digital camera with a printer attached, or a printer with a digital camera attached that uses their instant film. Pretty slick little box. And, you know, so that has, what's in Graphics 9? I don't even remember. Graphics 9. Oh, picture that I made with it on Saturday, you know. And so what you're seeing there, let's go ahead and take that full screen. I'm in Graphics 9. We'll do that, take chat out. So what you're seeing greatly, well, depending on what you're watching on, it could be greatly enlarged or it could be very, very small, is a scan of one of the prints. The print itself is actually basically business card sized. So that's the actual print that was scanned. But it's similar to modern Polaroid. They're fun, you know, it's a fun little thing. So they've got a whole line of the things now, and I figured, what the heck. So I am going to start doing some photo content on the channel, but I'm not going to be, because that's what the channel actually started. Started as a photo channel before I switched it over to doing sound and music and stuff. So I'm going to go back to that, or not completely back to it, but I'll be doing some photo stuff on the channel. Monday music is going to stay Monday music. I'll probably do photos during the day some other time, you know, during the week. Hopefully that won't confuse too many people and send people scurrying or running for cover, but yeah, what the heck. It's my channel. I want to have fun with it. So let's see. I also launched, as a part of that, I launched a small website, and that is linked below, but it's snapshots.garenm.net, and you know, there's a couple pictures there now. Just started it up. And basically the idea is it's shot with my simple cameras. It's going to be, you know, the Fuji. It's going to be my phone. I've got a couple of other small point and shoot kind of cameras. You know, as far as the cost is concerned, yeah, it's not cheap. But, you know, the interesting thing, the thing about the Evo line of these guys is that you don't have to print every picture that you take. Yeah, I said, you know, if I take enough pictures, I can certainly do that. Luke, I've had multiple hobbies since long before. You know, as some of you may know, I don't know. I basically have 3 hobbies. I have music, I have photography, and I have model railroading. And I've had those three hobbies since I was a child, you know. So in a way, I've never grown up, you know. These have been my hobbies, and so that's kind of sort of what the channel is about. I still want to still going to definitely keep the model railroad stuff on its own channel. That does exist, but yes, spending money, and spending money. That is kind of sort of it. And being retired now, I do need to slow that down. Although I've been working more. I've been working more since I retired. Somehow I don't think didn't expect retirement to be like this. Rereading later, Charlie. Well, I mean, reading is a hobby for a lot of people, Paul. You know, and it's a good one. It's okay to be a Toys R Us kid. Yes, it is. It definitely is, George. So anyway, and you know, as a side adjunct to all the hobbies, there's websites that go along with them and all that kind of stuff. But let's see. Okay. Oh, you know what? That doesn't surprise me, Paul. Actually, I used to collect stamps. Actually, that was one of my hobbies for a while. Never got never found one of the U.S. airmail stamps where the airplane was upside down. Yeah, I mean, so video to me. Video is kind of sort of a necessity. Whoops. I like the picture. Oh, I know what happened. Daggone it. I forgot that I had it in the frame buffer. It'll go away in a couple of seconds, and then, okay, maybe fixed now. Let me see. Hang on a second here. Yeah, that's fixed now. Okay, cool. I have to remember to unload things from the full screen still store when I load them, because this occupies the same still store. So your dad might have one of those inverted airmail stamps, Paul. They're worth a bundle. I never got into collecting beer cans. I did consume a lot of beer. But I never really got into collecting the cans. And I still like consuming beer, although I'm doing it less, and then being a little more pickier about the beer that I'm consuming. But anyway, so that's too bad, Paul. You'd be set for 3 or 4 weeks on the value of that stamp. That and the rare 1943 copper penny. I did a little bit of coin collecting too. 1943, we switched production of pennies to steel during the war, and a few pennies in the early in 43 were still made out of copper. We needed copper for wire in boats, submarines, and airplanes, among other things. Bushings too. See, we do more than music here on Music Mondays. I will, like I said, I will try and keep I will definitely keep the photography stuff out of the music streams and vice versa, and vice versa. But the comment about video and being an close adjunct to to the music thing. As I said, it's kind of a necessity if you want to do music and have a YouTube channel. If you just want to do music, you can, you don't need to do all the video stuff. I got, as I've said before, my life has been television. I was almost literally born in it, and so it's it's kind of natural for me to add television to the things. And then of course, you know, I have to do it all up because my life has been in broadcast television. So, you know, but that's just me. And it's kind of fun to make it all work. It's something else that I like to dig into and learn. So, you know, and I guess that's why I wish that a lot of other people would too. I was being figurative there, Asaph. To install, well, I don't know about the mustache wax, but actually, I had a mesh network here in the house until the second. I had a small mesh, two points, and the second unit went down. And I do need to get it back up and running because the house is long enough and there's enough networking going on here that I do need that second. I do need that second access point or that second node in the mesh to get things working properly again. As far as the mustache wax, I don't have anything to use mustache wax on. So that probably is not going to happen. And and I'm not going to be climbing up trees to mount the nodes for the mesh network either. They're just going to be inside the house. I'm not going that far with it. And I don't see Jeff here tonight. I'm gonna stay far away from that, Luke. I'm not never mind. So let's make music. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, this one gets a little out of control sometimes, but they make other stuff for that. I just cut them off, you know. I got to get the. Got to remember to keep remembering to set the timeout longer on the Mac screen too. Fun new sound, that ultra analoger too. Needed to pay Brazilian music. Okay, there we go. What else should we talk about? Because I've run out of script and this is going nowhere fast. Yeah, because I'm going to do a video on. Although there's 7 million of them out there, I will be doing a video on this, and the whole introduction to the new, you know, the camera thing that's going on. Yeah, I've the problem. Yeah, I have to have it like set up somewhere in the Ableton Live project so that I can just get to it right away because I've got 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, it does have that kind of jaunty kind of a jaunty feel. But I've got a couple of those old organ sound patches. Op6 can make them in a heartbeat. They're so easy to make on the Op6. Moog Soft Synth sale. Huh. Didn't know they were having a sale on their soft synths. I have one of them. It's not loaded. I have that bass synth VST they came out with, and I haven't loaded it on the Mac. Maybe I should. It was Mariana. It was on the PC. It was exceptionally processor intensive. Basically, I could play a bass line or I could play everything else. It was that it just crushed the machine. But I should go ahead, download it, install it on the Mac, and see how it does, because it's a good sounding synth. I mean, it sounds really nice, and I've got a couple of the Moog synths on the iPad, and they sound fantastic. So maybe for next week we'll have Mariana loaded, or it will have blown up. No, that's cool. That's cool, Luke. No worries. Always interested to know what's on sale. Although, you know, as I've said, I'm not. I keep saying this, that I'm not going to buy anything new, and then I buy something new. But like, you know, Ultra was a case in point. I had no intention to buy any more soft synths, but it's one of those kind of things. You know, as I've said, if something does something significantly differently or interesting, then I will, you know, definitely look into it and consider it. The Ultra Wave in Ultra is, I'm still trying to get my head around it. And every time I dig into it, I find, you know, some other, or I find some other really off-the-wall thing that it can do. The fact that it can build a 30-second long stereo wavetable is just, and treat it either as a wavetable or a sample, is just, it opens up a lot of possibilities. It kind of sort of combines something wave state-ish and mod wave-ish, and then adds it's like it does everything except for FM. FM is about the only thing that Ultra doesn't really do. So, and it does it all in one patch, which is kind of mind-blowing. So anyway, and by the way, Luke, for you to be shilling, you would actually have to gain some benefit from doing it. So you're just informing, and that's cool. So, all right, I think I don't have much else tonight. You know, just coming forward. Like I said before, there will be more various content coming out as I get time. I do have to. I'm back down to dealing with my mother and her cell phone on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. But hopefully I'll have some time to do music stuff this week, and music and photo stuff, and you know, so follow along. And like I said, I think that's probably going to do me for tonight. I'm pretty much out of stuff to talk about. And unless anyone's got any questions or thoughts that they want to share and chat about, I am going to start playing some music and wind down for the evening. And I'll watch the chat. Oh, I know. Hey, Paul, did you ever get all of the video for the event in November uploaded? I haven't seen any. I hadn't seen any of that the last time I was on there. All right, guys. I don't have a way, Paul, for you to pop the link to the channel, but if you go ahead and put the name of the channel in anyway. 8 of 19 are done. Okay, cool. All right, very cool. And Paul, go ahead and drop the name of the channel into the chat here, and I'll get a link to it, because there's some pretty cool stuff up there. And for those who don't know, EMPS is the Electronic Music Production Society. It's local here to Maryland, and mostly. And we get together once a month and do a live jam, and it all gets recorded and put up on the Synth Stop channel on YouTube. Paul does all the work on that. We would not be there if it weren't for him. So thank you, Paul, and thanks everyone for coming by. Appreciate it. And go ahead and, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and make some music. Well, we're gonna be moving down the road at some point. So, and they'll get to see another place. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot. Talk to you. We will see you again here next week, unless something else goes crazy. So, thanks, guys. Appreciate you all coming.